This broadcast will start in 30 seconds. This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
This is Darius Oliver, and you're listening to 92.1 KXVS, The Voice of Stockton.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, The Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Good morning, Stocktonians, and welcome to this morning's edition of Tales and Tips. I am so honored to have two other Lions with me in the house today. Go Lions, we roar.
Roar.
All right, and we are going to be talking about St. Mary's High School hockey team, the Rams, and I'm so pleased to have Rick Pulowski, a fellow radio show host on The Voice of Stockton, here with us today. He is the honorary general manager of the Rams, and we have Roy Morales with us, who is a supporter of St. Mary's hockey. I'm going to start first with Rick and tell us everything about St. Mary's hockey and how this started and how awesome this is for the community.
Wow. As people viewing my show has heard this story, but I'm going to do it for you because you got me the start on this wonderful station.
There you go.
We started about 2 years ago, I'm going to say. November, Jim Brusa, who is now the president of St. Mary's Hockey, or St. Mary's High School, excuse me. I get hockey in my brain. He came to me and talked to me a little bit about the hockey world. How it relates in the high school. I talked to him a lot about how it works and operates. He was very interested. He wanted to get more students in the school. Another way to get more students, because St. Mary's is recognized in the sporting world. So that being said, he said, it sounds great. I want to do it, but I have no idea about a head coach. He said, I have nowhere to get. I said, well, you know what? That's where I come into play. I get to meet this gentleman probably 8 years ago. He was at the Colts organization, which I'm also the president there. I got a lot of hats, Julie, like you, and get paid for nothing. So it's one of those things that we do
Volunteerism.
out of volunteerism and also the passion for what we do. So that being said, I hooked him up with Coach Derek Eisler.
He's awesome.
Been around NHL, AHL. He's been all facets from NHL down to youth hockey, where I met him. Great guy, Christian man. Can't say enough good things about him. Great following. I'll tell you a story a little bit later about him in Minnesota, but right now, so we got them hooked up, and Derek went out on a mission to recruit players for St. Mary's. So that's how it started. Now, fast forward a little bit, we have two kids playing on the team from Israel. So
wow.
we're international. We have two young men playing from Bakersfield, California. And we also have one from Portland, Oregon. So we've kind of masked the globe. Plus, we have a lot of kids from the West Coast, over on San Jose end of things, and then a lot of homegrown players that's been through the Colts organization. So with that being, that's where we've started this journey, as we say. All the way through, we play in two leagues. The Duck League, Anaheim Duck League, obviously out of Anaheim, California, makes sense. And then we play in the North American Prospect League, and I believe that's based out of Minnesota. So we're going to travel. We've traveled there, and we'll be back there at the end of this month. So
lots of traveling.
Yes, lots of traveling.
So back up just a little bit for those of our listeners that don't know who the Colts are. Tell them about the Colts and our ice hockey link.
All right. That the Colts have been around for many, many moons. Probably back in the 50s and 60s. If you go by Oak Park Arena ice rink, there's pictures of the old timers out there in black and white. Believe it or not, they had black and white pictures back then. So that's how far back it goes. Bringing up the current. My grandson Anthony Alvarado's played in since he's a mite, which is 8 and below. Now he's gone through, and now he's part of the St. Mary's team. However, it's an organization, like I said, it's been around a long time. We have several divisions from high school on down. We have a mini mite program. That means they're probably 6 and below. And we have, I'm going to say a number, but I'm probably off on the low side. We have over 35 or 40 kids in that program. So it's a community-based, gives a kid an alternative other than baseball and soccer, which are great sports also.
Street too.
Yes,
it gives them a positive goal,
absolutely.
And it teaches them structure, teamwork, a lot of things that they can carry on to other things in their life. And earlier you were talking about how amazing Derek is, and when he was on the show, one thing that I loved is he talked about also being able to set up free skate so that anyone in our community, any of the kids, could have an opportunity to experience what it's like to be on the ice.
Yes, it's great for the people to come out that have an aspiration that they may want to skate, to get out there and skate, see what the hockey end of it is. There's other things. There's figure skating at Oak Park, and just public skating. Until I got involved 8 years ago in the ice part of the sporting world here in Stockton, I didn't realize how many people use that rink. It is well used. It probably blow most people's mind. A lot of people, when they come to see me at my job at Chase Chevrolet in Stockton, California, they didn't even know there's ice, and they've lived here all their whole life. Mm-hmm. They had no idea about Oak Park. So
it's a hidden gem. Yeah,
very nice. Very nice to have people support us through the years, still supporting us. It's a great organization, the Colts. And now St. Mary's has got the opportunity to carry their hockey future on. And the one thing I wanted to get in here before I forget, it's academics first and hockey second. A lot of people think because I promote the hockey end, but it's all about academics, and that's foremost with St. Mary's. You have to have a great grade point average or you're not playing. So the kids come here for the hockey ability, but also to get a great education.
And St. Mary's has always been known as a wonderful school in our community. I'm going to turn to you, Roy, and you've got your tie on and you're an alumni. What does it mean to you to now have this hockey team at the school, and now that they've had their first win?
Oh, I was just fortunate enough to have Rick as a close friend for the last like 17, 18 years. But
don't remind me.
And of course, all three of us are Lions, so we've got something very much in common, and that's about serving the community. But when Rick shared his passion with me a long time ago, when his grandson became involved with hockey, is really the first time that I really started to gain a little interest in hockey. I had gone to a few Heat games. But it was something a little bit different about seeing the youth playing, and so I kind of got interested in that. And he's very passionate about it, and he's done such a wonderful job as president of the Junior Colts, and a thriving ice rink, really, that a lot of people, like Rick said, don't really realize. It's a gem in our community, and so anyway, I just became interested in it. And I got to know the coach, Coach Eisler, who's been on the show, and just an absolutely wonderful man. Assistant coach Zach Lytle as well, and all the staff and the parents and all of that. But my perspective is one of a fan, is one of a supporter. And so I think sometimes my perspective is a little bit different from theirs, because they're looking at more of a managing type, deal. And I'm looking at it as a fan,
Mm-hmm. And it's exciting, and you don't have to have any of the responsibility. You can just enjoy it.
It is so exciting. It is so exciting. So when this whole thing became, when he told me, hey, Roy, we have an opportunity, we're discussing an opportunity with St. Mary's to develop a prep high school program. I got excited about that. And I think, we as Lions, too, we get excited about new things that are happening in our community that we want to share with the rest of the community. And so I automatically became very interested in it, and I wanted to be part of promoting it. So anyway, that's how I kind of got involved. And now it's really about, for me as a fan and as a supporter, and in its inaugural season, this is history for St. Mary's.
And history for Stockton.
History for Stockton.
Yes.
Yes, history for Stockton, right.
Definitely.
And
It's a
history for
win-win.
St. Mary's.
It's a win-win.
And St. Mary's went out on a limb and said, "Hey, we're gonna take a risk here, and we're gonna go all in on this." And I can only tell you that during this first inaugural season, that I have been overwhelmed by what they have been able to put together. And I do want to say this, is that Rick has had a huge effect on everything that has gone on here. Not only the coaches, but Rick has really spearheaded a lot of it as well. And I just wanted to compliment Rick on doing that, because this is an absolutely outstanding entertainment for our community, for our ice rink, for St. Mary's, and for our town as well.
It's a win-win, and we talked about earlier the benefits to the students, and how perfect is it that we also have professional hockey in our town, and it gives them a chance to aspire to that. And earlier you and I were talking a little bit about the Heat, and I'd like to know what their view is on the Rams and how supportive, whether they've been supportive, and see if we can make that connection, because that would be great for the kids to have that as something to aspire to in what they're doing. But what a healthy way for them to learn working as a team and learning responsibility and things like that.
Yeah. We have not had a chance to work with the Heat as much as possibly we'd like to. The kids are so over in worked, I guess is not the right word, but there's so many hours in a day that they don't have any longer. When they're going, like we talked about earlier, the majority of our kids, half of our team is sophomore, freshmen. We have a few juniors, and we only have 2 seniors.
Wow.
So
you have a young team. I think
very young team.
neat.
Obviously, we're a young club in a league that's been established for years. So there's a lot of older players. Even when we went back to Minnesota, most of the teams, we have a gentleman. We have two boys that are over 6 foot. We have a 6 foot, I want to say 3 or 4 foot boy, and also a 6 foot plus gentleman. But the rest of our team is probably 5'9" to 5'11". So we're a smaller team, but we're very fast, and that sometimes makes up for the bigness. So they've had to learn that part of the game. The other thing, going back to academics, is that these boys have come from junior high, I guess is what they call it, middle school now. It was junior high when I went to school, but middle school. And so it's a whole learning environment. It's the time management. St. Mary's are very, very
it's a rigorous program.
rigorous schedule, correct. And they have homework, and they practice 5 days a week, which is pretty unheard of in the hockey world. I mean, even with the Colts, there's 2 nights a week that they practice. Okay, so that gives them 3 nights to do homework or whatever. Now they're either weightlifting, they do both every day, 5 days a week. They are at Oak Park from 3 to 5, Monday, Tuesday. They're there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays and Fridays, and again at 3 o'clock on Thursdays. But so then from there they go out. They go to school. They do an hour and a half of a weight cardio program for them, and so there's very little time to get their work done. So a lot of them are having time. I would say more time management than laziness. It's just like they're in golf. So to get like the Heat involved, I'm sure there at some point there's could be something could be done there, but there's really no time to do too much more than.
Okay.
And then when we travel outside of California, there again, there's the time issue.
How were these students selected for the team, and how did you recruit from other countries, and how does that work?
Okay, that's a good question. Thanks for asking it. Coach Eisler, like I said, is world renowned. He actually coaches the Israeli national team.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean that's how the Israelis came to be. But like I said, the kids in Portland and in Bakersfield know of him. In fact, I've had him on my show, and I asked that very question for each child, how'd they get here? And they all say Coach Eisler. So he's been a driving force in making this team. But not to put down, some people might take this the wrong way, and I hope they don't, because that's not my intent. You have football and baseball here in town. All high schools have it. So you go to play there because you like their program. Mm-hmm. Similar in hockey, but more importantly, they come for the coach because they know that this coach can get them to the next level of hockey, in our case, that they're trying to get. And coach is very got a lot of connections. We have a player that's been through the whole court organization, a female, Brooke Bryant, very intelligent, very good person, comes from a great family, and she is right now at Minnesota State in Manitoba, Minnesota, playing Division I hockey.
Wow.
Yeah, her
Awesome.
first game she got a goal, and she's been mentored her whole life by Derek Eisler. So,
Awesome.
And she grew up through the
she's in Lindy, California.
junior Colts program, though.
Yeah, she went through the whole thing. So these kids know that if they do well and they listen to him and figure out what the next level of the game is for him, that he can get them there.
Awesome. And what does this mean for him? What opportunities does this give to Coach Eisler having this team at St. Mary's High School versus just having the Colts that he had before?
Well, it's a stepping stone. The Colts, like I said, are the difference is you have to go somewhere from the Colts or from the Tri-Valley Blue Devils or the San Jose Junior Sharks or the Cupertino Cougars.
So those are all junior
Those are
leagues.
all teams that are in the Colts NorCal League.
Okay.
So once you get into high school, that's when people really start taking a look at you as far as your future in hockey, whether you have ambitions to go to NHL or you have ambitions to go to D1 college. That's where it really starts. You know, a lot of parents, they have, we used to call them mite squirts and peewees. Now you have to say 10U, and so I may have the wrong thing, but a lot of people think at the 10U level that you have to play AAA hockey. I'm not a proponent of that. I'm not saying that that's not something that that's up to each individual parent, but I've talked to a lot of people in pro sports. My buddy Steve Scarsoni, who was with the Oakland A's. Anyhow, he told me, he said, I've never come to spring training and somebody say, hey, see that guy out there, number 12? He pitched a no-hitter when he was 10 years old. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's nice that he did that, but that doesn't make him a Major League Baseball player. And I think what happens is parents and grandparents, we get caught up that our kid's the next Wayne Gretzky or the next, Nolan Ryan or whatever it might be. And they just don't realize what they have here. And I'm not saying some organizations don't have mediocre coaching. We have one of the greatest, and I'm spearheading because he's my friend, but he's also a great coach. And that's just not my opinion. It's a lot of people's opinion. So you have something here, just learn your craft and go out and do your dream. You know what I mean? So
I'm going to come back to Roy. So I'd like you to compare and contrast, because Rick was talking a little bit about football and baseball. You've been very active with the all-star football, and especially trying to bring that back to Stockton. How is that different? How is that a different experience for the kids versus the hockey? And what would it mean to Stockton if we were able to have that game come back here?
Well, you know what? It's very similar, because you're dealing with youth. They don't change. The game changes, You know, the way you play, it changes. But the impact that the coach, general manager, the parents have on this experience that they're going through, whether it be hockey, football, whatever, is all the same. And that's what's really exciting, is that these kids are dedicated, no matter what sport it is, they are totally dedicated to being the best that they can be. And that is not only on the ice or on the football field, but also in the classroom. There was an interview done, and thanks to the radio station, the Voice of Stockton, we live streamed their last game, which we will get into because it was a very special game, and I'm going to let Rick touch on that. But there were some interviews that were done with the players, and the interviews were really pretty exciting, because what you heard from the parents and from the players was that this is really a very special experience for them. And so every time they go on the ice, you know, they're going on the ice like all-stars. You know, they're going on the ice. They want to win. You know, they want to win. Just like in the Lions All-Star football game, same thing. But the impact that we have on these kids, providing them with great activities to do is something awesome. The one last thing that I want to touch on is that there was an interview done with Luca Petroni.
Yes.
And Luca, many years ago, I don't know how old he was, but he put on a pair of roller skates. What was he, about 5 or 6 or something?
Probably.
Anyway, his parents gave him some roller skates. He went out, started roller skating, and apparently from the roller skates, they eventually went to the ice skates in some way. Mm-hmm. He's a freshman.
He is a freshman.
He's a freshman on the St. Mary's team. Okay. His parents said, you know what? He had a passion to play hockey. We found out about this program here. They live in Oakdale.
That's correct.
We found out about this program. We talked to Coach Eisler, and immediately when we talked to Coach Eisler, we knew this is the guy that I want teaching guiding my son, mentoring my son. And so he joined the program. And one of the things that she said, and this is so important because I know for Jim Bruce it's really, really important, and that is academics is number one. And what she shared with us was this. Her son had been going to a public school in Oakdale, probably a good school, you know.
Well, she taught there, so.
Oh, she taught there, so she knew all about it.
And she can watch out for him.
And what she said was this. She goes, you know, Luke has gone to St. Mary's now. I can really see the difference between where he was at educational-wise and where he needs to be. So not only is Luca going to improve his hockey skills and, you know, hopefully play in college one day, you know, that type of thing, but he is seeking an education, you know, and he's going to have to put in that same hard work that he puts on the ice every single day to be able to do it at St. Mary's, because his mom knows the bar has been raised. And you know what? That's a good bar.
That's a great thing.
That's a good bar. And I know that Jim Brusa would be very, I know when he heard that interview, I'm sure that probably struck him because that's what it's all about. It's about developing these players to becoming great citizens of our community and athletes as well. So
a little note to that: his mother's a teacher and his sister's a principal. So he's got a big bar in front of him.
Wow, he's got a big bar.
Well,
yeah.
and look what he left. That also speaks to how important this is not only to him but their family. Because look at the situation that he left to come to St. Mary's to be able to do this.
And then Rick, tell him because he is, you know, they live in Oakdale. Tell him where he's living and that little experience, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of these hockey players are living here with I don't know what you call them, but
billet. We call it billet family. They are housed by families here locally. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool to see. He actually lives with my grandson, so he's like having another grandson. So I'm pretty familiar with Luca and his parents. We go back probably 5, 6, 7 years. hockey community, and I know there's a lot of traveling teams out there, baseball, football, that type of thing, but the hockey community is a very tight-knit group of people. At least that's been my experience for the 8 years I've been involved in hockey. So these kids like Sar and Itai, they're the two Israeli boys that came over. Now here's Itai. He was 13 when he came here to this country.
13 years old.
Turned 14, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month. And here they are in a foreign country, staying with people. And both these folks, I believe, are from the Temple Israel that took them in.
Wonderful.
So it's a great thing for the community to be involved. St. Mary's actually finds the homes for the boys. So the two boys from Bakersfield are here.
Portland, I think.
Portland, Oregon. He's here. We have a young man from Patterson, California, that is here. So very few of the boys, I'm trying to think on top of my head, probably 3 or 4 boys are being able to stay at home and go here, which is a plus for them. But they've all reached out, and the team is really bonded. In fact, like I said on my show, there's been the boys have all said, even at the early beginnings of my show, which started in August, I believe, they said that we have bonded better than any team that's out there, because it's funny. I get people, their kids go to school there. One of them works with me. She said the hockey team, when they get there, they all meet in part of the campus. I don't know where it is, but they sit there at lunch. They're together. So it's a brotherhood that these kids have come from all parts of the world and areas of California, but they're all one unit. And I think it shows in their play on the ice. They're starting to really believe in each other, and that's what the coaches. It's not like baseball or you have 2 or 3 good players. Oh, when he gets up, it's going to be a home run, or he's going to pitch a no-hitter today. These kids, one guy's not going to make this team at the level that they're playing, because you have to be a team. You got to be able to move the puck, get it to the player. There's so many things going on in their minds. Most of them have played hockey for a long time, so they're getting it. But this level is so fast, and the physicality is a little bit more than they're used to. So it takes a while. If we ended up 500 this year, I'd say it was a great year. If we are better than that, good for us. But it's a learning experience every time they go on the ice.
So talk about the schedule, and then I want to go back to the last game. Talk about the rigorous schedule that they have. I know you said they're practicing 5 days a week. How often are the games?
The games are usually twice a month. They'll travel to Anaheim. We've been fortunate because there's 3 teams, including us, up north. Bellarmine over in San Jose, Tahoe Academy, obviously in Tahoe, and then us. So we've been fortunate to play some home games at Oak Park, but most of the time we're on the road. So that means when they go to Anaheim, they leave the school at noon. Go down there.
In a van?
In a van, yes. There are 2 vans that the coaches drive. They go down there on Friday, depending on traffic. They play probably one game, 5 to 7 o'clock, depending on. They try to schedule it so we can get there. They play that night, go to sleep in a hotel. They get up. They play 2 games on Saturday, and they're back. They come home Saturday night. So it's a rigorous schedule. Sunday they're probably resting up from the 3 games that they played, and then they're back on the ice Monday. So that's typical of when we do go to Anaheim. We've been to Minnesota. I was very fortunate to be able to travel with the team to.
Are you driving there, or are they flying?
No, we flew. Okay. No, yeah. Otherwise, we'd have to take off 2 weeks of school to get there, especially in the winter. Yeah. But no, we flew out on a Thursday for games on Friday. What an experience for me. I've never been in Minnesota. I had a layover there once. That was as close as I ever got to Minnesota. So we got to go play. The team, again, had 2 vans. I did not travel in the vans. I had my own rental car along with some other parents that went, but we stayed in the same hotel and that type of thing. But anyhow, getting back to hockey, in California, it's fairly new. I mean, the Sharks have been around for 20 years, I believe, somewhere in that vicinity. But until they came, nobody knew what hockey was in the Western states, especially in California. So they kind of brought it to Northern California. a lot of youth. The kids have had to go to Southern California or a different to continue their career. Now they have the opportunity right here in California, Central California, Stockton. However, getting back to Minnesota, so we go to this place. It's called the Schwann's Super Rink. It's in Blaine, Minnesota. Minnesota is land of 10,000 lakes, excuse me. And they're right. Everywhere you look, there's water. It's very forestry, a lot of outdoors, very beautiful. I mean, nice settings. But we pull up. This thing's out in the middle of nowhere. You drive down the street, and here's this structure out there. And there's buses pulling in, big, like movie star type buses, big elaborate buses with these teams coming in, and they got their own separate trailer with their equipment in it. Mm-hmm. And here's us from Stockton in two Ford vans, 10-passenger vans with all their equipment, and we pull in there. This place that we played had 8 sheets of ice under one roof. I've never seen anything that big. We have 4 sheet over in San Jose, but nothing like that here that I've seen. But it was pretty, and each rink has a game going on. And they start at 7 in the morning, and they continue till 7 or 8, 9 o'clock at night, nonstop. It's just one team after another. A good situation for the kids to be in. And I got to say, these kids have never been blown out of a game. They've always been in the game. Usually we're two periods, we're playing with them. Third period, we make a few mistakes or whatever it happens, and then we lose by 1 or 2 goals. But they're not getting blown out. This team,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is awesome. You know, people,
they're learning, they're starting.
Mm-hmm. People always wanted, and Roy's been one of those. He goes, "You got to get a win. You got to get a win." I said, "It's not all about winning. It really isn't. Yes, that's what teams are measured by, but to watch these kids grow from day one to where they're at, they've won. It is a win, you know." And so that's what I look at from the opposite side of a fan. And sometimes you get the parents, you know, and we haven't had too many this year, but God, they got to win. They got to win. Well, look at where your kid started and look where he ends. Mm-hmm. If he's improved his skills and his knowledge of the game, and he's done academically great, that's a win.
That's a huge win.
I think the biggest win is the number of firsts. You know, I mean, when you really think about it, because they were there when the first time that they talked about, you know, putting this program together. They were there in the first practice. They were there to meet the first players on the team. These are all firsts.
Yeah.
They're huge.
You know, I mean, and these are all just little stepping stones. You know, their first loss, and then eventually to their first win.
Yes.
Tell us about the Sunday's night's win.
I hope I don't get emotional, because if you
That's
guys
okay.
listen,
If you don't, I will.
Okay. So here we go. We were very fortunate, and everything came together for us Sunday in a lot of aspects. First of all, I want to thank the Voice of Stockton. They were there as a big supporter of us.
Huge.
So we did a live stream on the radio and also on Rams TV. There's a plug for Rams TV. Mm-hmm. So it comes, a dear friend of mine and his boy is going to be playing with St. Mary's next year, Mike Bird, who's the director of the Sacramento Kings. He's a director. He does a great job up there. He's very techie. He knows all this in and outs, parts of, I can tell a lot of stories about him, but that's not what we're here to do. That'll be another night. But so Mike says, "Hey, we ought to stream this game live." He says, "Who can do the play-by-play?" And I said, "Well, I could probably muddle through it, but that's not my thing." And we both can talk. Anybody can talk. So, anyhow, we reached out to the school. The teacher is Mr. Sheets. He's the broadcast team over there. He says, "Hey, I got this kid that's interested in doing play-by-play, and it's hockey. He's always had a passion of doing hockey. He's done their football and baseball and so on and so forth." So his name is Parker Dunn. And so Parker, we get a hold of Parker, and he's just thrilled to do it. So I had him on the show Thursday prior to the game. And the kid, the first time I ever met him, he was here in the studio with us. And very, very well-spoken young man. Very well-spoken, a lot better than I am or ever will be. But so he introduced himself, and we had him on the show, and he did probably the best job for the first hockey game he ever did. And so Mike and I and him are in the booth in Oak Park. Anybody been to Oak Park? There's a little music room in the corner of the rink. Well, it's hard to see the other end of the rink. But anyhow, we're all in there. And our good friend Dustin Brakebill, who works here as well, he
Shout out
and
to Dustin.
Yeah,
Shout out to
And
Dustin.
Dustin and Governor Don.
Governor Don.
Where are you, Governor Don? You're supposed to have been here
Come on,
today.
Gov.
But anyhow, those guys came out and set up the cameras, set up everything for us to do, just to walk in and grab a stick and start talking. And so we had our first game. Well, back set one. And Saturday, we played up in Tahoe. And obviously I wasn't there, but I'm getting a lot of reports from the players' families and stuff on Facebook that it was a pretty brutal game. And I wasn't there, so I can't really comment. But anyhow, there was a lot of penalties, a lot of physicality that didn't need to be. That's the easiest way and nicest way to put it. So we didn't know what we were going to face. We lost that game 7-2, by the way. But a lot of kids were banged up from that game.
Morale was probably
Morale.
down.
Well, see that they've in all the games I've watched them play, it's a physical game, but not to the degree that this one was. So, my grandson happened to spend a night with me on Saturday night before Sunday's game, and we talked about it a little bit. And he was pretty banged up, but I told him, "You guys can't let this get to you. You got to go out and play your next game. You guys know what to do. Coach Eisler's got you ready. You just got to go out and play the game." So now we're into the game. And Parker's doing a great job on the air. And all of a sudden, it's 1-0 St. Mary's. What? 1-0 St. Mary's? We don't play in the lead very often. So that was something. And then it was 2-0 St. Mary's. And then it was 3-0 St. Mary's. And I'm going, holy buckets. This is a great showing, man. We bounced back from the beating we took physically and mentally probably on Saturday, and we're playing. So the boys were up, doing good, and they were not the team that was described to me on Saturday. And they were probably tired too. I mean, it takes a toll when you're hitting people. It takes a toll on the person to hit and to hit you. But anyhow, so the game's going on. Second period, we kind of laid on our laurels. I don't know what really, but we're up 3-0. So now we're like, okay, we got to lead, and we start getting tentative. We don't play the game that we've been taught to play. Well, before you know it, it's 3-3 at the end of 2. And I'm going, this isn't a good where we're going. So then we start the third period, and they get a goal. Now we're down 4-3. Here we go. This has been our story. We always rally. We never give up. That I didn't think was going to happen. But here we are, 4-3. And then we score the tying goal, 4-4. And you could just feel the energy of these boys. Hey, we're in this thing. We can beat this team. Anyhow, we go up 5-3, and it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago in the game. The kid slashes one of our players. He gets upset, slashes him back. So now we got coincidental penalties. That means they both go off the ice. And I'm thinking, man, we can't have the wheels come off. We got a 1-goal game here. I mean, it wasn't smart for our player to do that. I mean, coach does not. He says you got to have discipline, boy. You got to have it, man. You can't let your emotions run wild. But again, we got to realize these kids are 14 to 18, right? It's hard for an adult to do that, much less a young man. So, anyhow, we got the kid in the box. He got a major penalty, a 10-minute misconduct, so he had to leave. He wasn't even on the bench. And now I'm thinking, oh, man, can we hold on? So we get down to less than a minute to play, and they pull the goaltender, which is normal to do in a hockey game, trying to get the extra man, so they're 6-on-5 at that point. And the puck gets chalked up. Our number 9, Clayton Brown, our big kid on the ice, from our own end, defensive end. He comes up to the blue line and he lifts it high, and it bounces, goes right in the net. They get an empty net. 18 seconds to go in the game, and I was going to say the Colts. Rams win. You know, so it was good for these boys to know they got the monkey off their back. You know, they all talk about that,
Right.
And like we talked about earlier, it's not winning and losing. It's about playing the game, and they've been in every game, and all this practice time and all this stuff. Now they're a believer because they saw it come to fruition on
Eventually it was going to come. You knew it was coming. It's just, you start to feel a little impatient. And especially like for him and the coaches, they know how hard these kids are working every single day to get a win. And I'll tell you what, when they got that win, I know that everyone there was super excited and emotional about it because it was their first win. It was St. Mary's first win. And that's going to go in the history books, And so that's what really made it so special. But the one thing that I really wanted to say also is that the broadcast, and he's going to give a bad time about this, the broadcast, to me, as a fan, as a supporter, as someone watching it on Facebook, was as professional as I've ever heard.
Yay.
Hey, awesome. This kid from St. Mary's that did the play-by-play.
Parker Dunn.
I always call him Patrick Parker Dunn. Parker Dunn did an absolutely amazing job.
Awesome.
What a representation of the student body at St. Mary's High School. Awesome. This kid is so articulate. He called a wonderful game. Mike, what's the Mike's
Bird?
Mike Bird is a true professional. And between the three of these guys, I'm telling you, it was magnificent. They could not have done a better job. And so everyone contributed. I think everyone, including the fans, everyone who went, everyone contributed to this win. Awesome. And just an awesome job by the players and everyone involved.
And again, people that want to listen to that broadcast, as bad as I thought it was, actually it was pretty good. Roy, you can listen to it on KXVS. Voice of Stockton. Go back, look that up, play it for yourself. Fast forward through my parts because I wasn't very good, but the other two were excellent. And
you got emotional at the end.
Yeah, well, you didn't have to bring that up.
Well, but to me, that shows your passion. And how much this means. And you talk about the commitment of the students, but what about your commitment in seeing this through and making this happen?
It's funny you mentioned that. We did a fundraiser.
First fundraiser.
First fundraiser. It's called a a ball drop. See, I can't even talk. So nobody knew what that was, and I had to explain it to people, and I'll do it real quick. Anyhow, we tried to sell 125 balls. Each ball's numbered. You have your own ball, so whatever number you might have. And we started drawing balls out, which was done by the Tracy Breakfast Lions that have been doing this for 112 years because that's how long I've been around.
That's right.
They came out and they do a great job. So the first ball out wins $100. Every 10th ball out wins $100. We get down to the final four. We auctioned a ball back in, and it couldn't have been done any better. We have one gentleman in there, Al Vetter, who's a friend of mine. He wouldn't split the pot, so we rolled, and it got down to the final two. Him and Janine Clark, which is a grandmother of one of the players, and they decided to split $5,000. So that part was good. However, getting back to my passion, what happened was I was in charge of half the tickets, and St. Mary's was in charge of half the tickets, and so Monday I go in before the event on Saturday. And they said, we haven't sold enough tickets. We got to cancel this thing. And I said, over my dead body, it's not going to happen. We're going to make it work. If I have to put money in this thing myself, we can't let it fail.
Right.
And so that's my passion, that this is new, and we're going to have bumps in the road. Mm-hmm. But we ended up, and we don't have the final figures of St. Mary's listening. I need the final figures of the
final figures,
event.
please.
Final figures. But it's going to be around $5,000 that we raised that night. And thanks, I got to do a shout out to Mike Robinson, the owner of anything bunt.
Nut and bunt cakes.
Bunt. Sorry.
Mike Robinson,
He
big.
he spent 35.
Lincoln Center.
Lincoln Center. Yeah. Go in and buy a bunt cake. Tell them Rick sent you. It won't get you a discount, but at least you'll know where it came from.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he's paid $3,500. We had a live auction, a private jet. It was all good. But my passion is to not let this fail.
Yes.
And I'm not a coach, and I'm not a player, but this is something that I believe in that's going to be here for the future. And 5-10 years from now, our ambition is to have another team, and so we'll have 2 teams and an all-female team. That's our passion.
Awesome.
That's what we're going for, and so far it's heading that way.
Awesome. So go back to a couple logistical things. Do you have a Facebook page, website?
St. Mary's, yes. St. Mary's has a Facebook page, and they also have their own TV, Rams TV.
Rams TV. Now their Facebook page is St. Mary's Rams Ice Hockey.
Okay.
So if you go on there and just like that page, you'll be able to see all the pictures and videos that they shoot. Right. And then I believe on their Rams TV, that may be done through maybe YouTube, maybe. It
might be YouTube, sure. But you can subscribe to it. I would check with the school. I think there's some type of fee involved there per game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How can the community support this team? Can they sponsor a player? Can they buy things? Can they donate money?
They can do all of those things.
They can play in our golf tournament.
Yeah, the golf tournament's coming up in May. That's down the road, but
fundraisers, basically.
Fundraisers. And if somebody has the passion, get a hold of myself. You can reach me at Rick at LockfordTravel.com or Rick at ChaseChevrolet.com. Reach out to me. I'll head you in the right direction as far as you wanting to get involved. The more people that are involved, the more successful this will be.
Any sponsors we want to give a shout out to?
The bunt cake guy helped us out immensely. Chase Chevrolet stepped up at the end to help the program out. The Lions even jumped in there to help out. So it is a community effort. It's something that I think the Stockton community will be very proud of. Should be proud of it now, but in years to come, it'll be something that they'll look back on and say, in 2018, we started this venture. So
one of the things that I think that the community can really help out with is this. Honestly, go watch one of these games. I'm serious. Once you go watch one of these games, I think you will be very entertained. So look forward to the home games. And just come out, bring your family out. It is exciting. It's really an exciting sport. You may have a young child that has a desire to skate, and what a better way than to see these young men out there skating and maybe some youngsters getting an idea that I'd like to do this too, because it is very entertaining stuff.
Cool. When is the next home game?
Next home game, it's funny you asked. I had that information. It won't be until December, but the next 2 home games, from what I understand, and it's subject to change, will be at the Stockton Arena. So it'll be a big venue. Yeah, it'll be a big deal.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, amazing. SMG, who runs that facility, Oak Park, and the Bob Hope Theater, conjunction with the city, have invited us there. So I think we're going in the right direction.
And hopefully they're going to help promote it.
Yes.
Is there a charge to go to this game?
The St. Mary's charge is $5. It's very minimal. If you're a student, I believe it's, I don't know.
If you're a senior citizen like me, you only pay $3.
He finds every way to dwindle $1. That's my buddy. I don't know how much more time we got, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the Minnesota trip, because there's a lot of scouts there for colleges. They're everywhere, but mainly there. In Anaheim, you see scouts for colleges there. So these boys know this, and it's talked to them in the locker room by the coaches and in their meetings, that you never know who's watching you when you're playing. So every shift you go out there, you got to be your best. They also notice if you weren't so good on that shift. So the boys challenge themselves. Now, we're in Minnesota. Take you back. We had the last game of the tournament or league game was 7 a.m. in the morning. Now we're 2 hours difference back there, so that, you know, we go out there and we play a hell of a game. However, we don't win, but it doesn't matter. They played very well. 2 boys from our team got called out of the locker room after the game, talked to a scout that was there, and invited him to go to his program. So even at 7 in the morning, when you think, oh, there's no dummies up this early, right. It's just us dumb hockey players, that there's guys out there watching you. So I think that made a big impact on them. These boys, like I said, I think I became very emotional that night only because I've seen the hard work that the kids put in.
Yes.
You know, they get hammered out there. They get this and that. And I was happy for the fans because, you know, as a parent or grandparent, you're up there and you're paying money for your kid to be out there. You want the win. You want it, but that's not the biggest thing. But it's nice to get it. You know what I mean? And now they got that monkey off their back. They know that they know they can play with these kids. They know, you know, most of these kids have 18 to 20 people on the roster. We have 14. So that becomes into play at some point. I keep talking to coaches about it. Go, oh, they're kids. They can play, you know. But at some point,
you get tired.
You get tired, yeah. But the stamina's coming back. You can see them. Well, it was evident in this last game. They're down. Had the lead, lost the lead, then went down. But they had the perseverance to come back and play. It was exciting to see that.
And I'm sure it's just one of many wins.
I hope so. We hope so. Yeah, we're going the right way.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Groundbreaking stuff. Final words is I mean, I'm really excited about this program. Awesome. I'm just really excited. I'm so glad for Stockton, so glad for our community. And I know that Jim Bruce, one of the reasons why he went this way is he wants to promote good things in Stockton on behalf of St. Mary's High School. You know, image. You know, we need to change the image of our town. And I'll tell you what.
And opportunity for our students.
And opportunities for students as well. But the Oak Park Ice Arena is a hot place. I'm telling you. And if you have not been there, you need to go. And that's the honest to God truth. Because a lot of people in this town just, you know, I mean, we hear about the negatives. We don't hear about the positive. Well, I'm telling you a positive right now. There's a lot of great activity going on at the Oak Park Ice Arena, and there's going to be some improvements that are going to be made to the facility here shortly, which are going to enhance all the programs.
Sure.
And we're all excited about that, you know.
That's a win for everyone.
So yes, definitely. And we definitely, the last thing is, the radio station has been a great supporter, you know, with Rick's show, chilling with Rick, and having the players on, having the coaches on, and just you know, giving some information to the community that we have some great programs, you know, that are going on here in Stockton that they should be aware of. So that's all good stuff.
First and foremost, I want to reach out and tell everybody Happy Thanksgiving for next week. We're a week away, but my show is dormant until December 6th. We come back because my show was supposed to be Thanksgiving, but I'm going to let you all have a reprieve and be with your families. You don't need me in your life on that day. So anyhow, we're December 6th. We're back on the show. The other thing I'd like to reach out to, I made a phone call today to a dear friend of mine that used to broadcast the Heat games, Brandon Kisker, and he might be coming to St. Mary's and the Stockton Colts for some advice to us on how we can get our names out there.
Awesome.
He's very excited about it. I will not let him get out of hockey. I know he's got a passion. He's going to work for Visit Lodi, and we wish him all the luck and success there.
Great.
But we're not going to let him out of hockey. He's going to be part of the Rams and the Colts as we go down the road. So last thing I want to do, can I do my sign-off, and then you can do yours?
There you go.
It's all about dreams, folks, and the perseverance to get them. So I took a little of this from Casey Kasem, but keep your skates on the ice and reach for the stars. Have a great day, everybody.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. And I'm going to sign off. I am the voice of Stockton. You are the voice of Stockton. We are the voice of Stockton. Let's make it a great day.
Great job.